He swept the same hallways for over 50 years. No awards. No applause. Just a mop, a quiet smile, and a heart full of purpose. At 80 years old, this humble janitor thought the world had forgotten him. Until one day, a black SUV pulled up outside his school. It was Michael Jordan. What happened next? It left an entire school speechless, and changed one man's life forever. This isn't just a story about basketball, it's about loyalty, humility, and the power of never forgetting where you came from. You never expect a visit home to change your life twice. Michael Jordan had no idea that his quick trip back to Wilmington, North Carolina, a place loaded with childhood memories and echoes of squeaky gym floors, was about to stir up something far bigger than nostalgia. He'd returned for a routine charity event, just another appearance in his busy post-retirement life. Shake a few hands, speak a few words, donate a check, smile for the cameras, that was the plan. But fate had another idea. As he walked the familiar halls of Emsley Laney High School, something made him slow down. The smell of old floor wax. The faint squeal of sneakers from the gym. The cracked trophy case where his own name still lived in dust and glory. Every corner held a memory. But what stopped him cold was a familiar figure pushing a mop down the corridor. Gray-haired. Bent slightly with age. Still moving with care. Michael's breath caught. Is that Mr. Harlan? It had been over 40 years. But Michael would know that walk, that quiet strength, anywhere. The same janitor who used to unlock the gym after hours just so young Mike could practice his free throws in silence. The same man who once patched his torn sneakers with duct tape so he could finish a tournament. The man who used to sit quietly in the bleachers during every home game, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. Michael remembered it all. He walked up slowly, heart pounding with a strange mix of joy and sorrow. Mr. Harlan turned and blinked. Michael? Is that really you? His voice cracked with surprise and warmth. They embraced, not with celebrity fanfare, but with the deep connection of two people bound by time and quiet gratitude. Michael stepped back, stunned. Mr. Harlan, why are you still working? You should be retired, relaxing, enjoying life. Mr. Harlan gave a soft laugh, wiping his brow with a handkerchief. Well, Mike, you know how it is. Life didn't hand me the kind of break it gave you. Bills don't stop. Retirement costs money. It hit Michael like a gut punch. Here was the man who gave so much, not in headlines or highlight reels, but in moments no one saw. And now, at 80 years old, he was still working the same job. Still overlooked. Still underappreciated. Michael didn't know what to say. So he smiled, nodded, and spent the next few minutes walking those halls with Mr. Harlan, listening. Remembering. But what Mr. Harlan didn't know, was that those few minutes had already changed everything. Because while Michael Jordan had made a career stunning the world on the court, his next move would leave everyone speechless. And it all began, with a janitor, a mop, and a walk down memory lane. Everyone knew him as the janitor. But Michael remembered the man who changed his life, silently, selflessly, every single day. Long before the world knew the name Michael Jordan, before the championships, endorsements, and billionaire empire, there was just a skinny kid in oversized sneakers, desperate to prove he belonged on the court. And behind the scenes of that kid's journey, stood one constant, Mr. Harlan Brooks, the school janitor. To most students and staff, Mr. Brooks was just the man who cleaned the hallways and emptied trash cans. He was quiet. Polite. Always wore the same Navy work uniform, always kept his keys jangling on his belt. Few people took time to ask about his life. Even fewer knew his story. But Michael did. He remembered the way Mr. Brooks used to stop by the gym late at night, unlocking the door for him after practices. No questions asked. Just a small nod of encouragement and a "don't forget to turn off the lights when you're done." Those extra hours made all the difference. Back then, Michael didn't know why Mr. Brooks was so generous. He just knew the man had his back when few others did. But during this visit, now decades later, Michael finally asked, "Why did you help me so much, Mr. Brooks?" "You didn't have to." Mr. Brooks paused, leaning on his mop handle with a smile. "Because I saw your heart. You weren't just playing ball, you were chasing something bigger. And I figured if I could give you even a little bit of space to grow, it was worth it." He continued, "I never had kids of my own. Never made it big. But I saw something in you, Mike. And I thought, maybe my purpose wasn't to shine. Maybe it was to polish the floor for someone else's greatness." That hit Michael like a freight train. Because all those nights, all those gestures, they weren't just random acts of kindness. They were deliberate. Purposeful. This wasn't just a janitor. This was a mentor, a silent guardian, a humble giant hiding in plain sight. And what struck Michael even more was the life Mr. Brooks had lived. After his wife passed away a decade ago, he kept working to make ends meet. Never complained. Never asked for help. He didn't have retirement savings, no pension to fall back on. He lived in a modest rented home just a few blocks from the school. No children. No one to look after him. Just years of dedication and a quiet pride in his work. And yet, he had no idea how much he mattered. But Michael did. And as he looked at Mr. Brooks, now frilier, slower, but still filled with that same dignity, he knew one thing with absolute certainty. This man deserved more than thank yous. He deserved the world to know his name. And Michael was going to make sure of it. He walked away from that school, but the gears in Michael Jordan's mind were already turning. He wasn't going to just say thank you, he was going to change a life. The car ride back from Laney High School was unusually quiet. Michael Jordan sat in the back seat of a black SUV, staring out the window, barely responding to his assistant's questions. The image of Mr. Harlan Brooks, still pushing a mop at 80 years old, replayed in his mind like a highlight reel, only this time it wasn't about basketball. It was about legacy. Most people would have shaken hands, maybe sent a nice gift or a thank you note. But Michael Jordan isn't most people. He picked up his phone and said just one word, "Start." That one call set off a whirlwind behind the scenes. Within 24 hours, Michael had his entire team working on what he called Project Harlan. It wasn't for PR. It wasn't for headlines. It was personal. And it was secret, even from Mr. Brooks. Michael's first move? Financial freedom. He had his legal team quietly set up a trust fund in Mr. Brooks' name, one that would cover all living expenses, medical bills, and ensure monthly income for the rest of his life. No more 6 a.m. shifts. No more pushing a mop. Mr. Brooks would never have to work again. But he didn't stop there. Michael asked his property manager to scout the area near the high school. Within days, they found a cozy, one-story brick house on a peaceful, tree-lined street, the kind of place that felt like home the moment you saw it. A full renovation team was hired. Every detail was considered: ramps for easy access, a walk-in shower, new furniture, even a garden out back where Mr. Brooks could sit in the sun. Still, Jordan wanted something more than comfort. He wanted honor. So next, he called the principal of Laney High and the school board. His request? A surprise school assembly, under the pretense of honoring alumni contributions. They agreed. No one suspected a thing. As the plan came together, one final touch lingered in Michael's mind. He remembered how Mr. Brooks used to collect small trophies and medals he found left behind in the gym, little pieces of dreams, he'd once called them. So Michael had one made, just for him. A custom, golden statue of a mop and basketball intertwined, with a plaque that read, To Harlan Brooks, the man who polished the court for greatness. Michael looked at the finished gift and smiled. "This isn't charity," he told his assistant. "This is payback for a kindness I never deserved, but never forgot." And while the world didn't know it yet, something unforgettable was about to happen in that small North Carolina town. Because Michael Jordan was about to deliver the greatest assist of his life. No one knew what was coming. Not the teachers. Not the students. And definitely not Mr. Brooks. The assembly had been announced like any other school event. A vague email from the principal's office: "Please gather in the gym for a special guest and alumni tribute." There were murmurs, of course. Some students guessed it might be a former athlete. Others thought it was another motivational speaker. Even the teachers were mostly in the dark. But one person had no clue he was the reason everyone was there: Mr. Harlan Brooks. That morning, just like every other, he clocked in before sunrise. Swept the cafeteria. Wiped down lockers. Changed a light bulb in the hallway. No fanfare. No spotlight. Just a man doing what he'd done for over half a century, quietly, faithfully, without complaint. When the principal asked him to come into the gym, just to make sure the stage was clear, he went without hesitation, mop in hand, keys jingling on his hip. And then, he heard the applause. He walked in and saw the entire school on its feet. Students, faculty, alumni, all clapping, cheering, eyes fixed on the stage. Confused, he started to back away. But then he saw him. Michael Jordan. Standing at the center of the gym floor, microphone in hand, waiting with a wide smile. The clapping faded into silence as Jordan began to speak. "When I walked through these halls a few weeks ago, I came face to face with a memory. A man who shaped me long before the world ever knew my name." He turned to Mr. Brooks. "Mr. Harlan Brooks, you didn't just clean this school. You held it together. You kept it warm when the heat broke. You kept us going when we were tired. And you stayed behind so kids like me could keep chasing our dreams." Mr. Brooks' hand trembled slightly as he set down his mop. The students leaned in. Cameras were rolling. But he stood still, stunned. Then Michael reached into his jacket and pulled out a gold envelope. "Inside this envelope," he said, "is your full retirement, your bills paid, your home secured, your peace of mind guaranteed." The crowd gasped. "You're done working, Mr. Brooks. Not because you're 80, but because you've already done enough." Next came a second envelope. And photos on a projector, a newly renovated house, a garden, a cozy front porch. "This is your new home, 5 minutes from here. No rent. No worries. Just rest. Just joy." Finally, Jordan unveiled a trophy, small, but glimmering in the gym lights. And every year, this school will give out the Harlan Brooks Legacy Award, to someone who gives without needing recognition, who serves without needing applause. Tears rolled down Mr. Brooks' face. He tried to speak, but words failed him. The students stood again, chanting his name. "Charlan. Charlan. Charlan." For the first time in his life, the janitor stood not in the shadows, but at the very center of the court, where legends are made. And for once, it was his moment. Not all heroes wear jerseys. Some carry mops. And sometimes, those are the ones who change the game forever. In the weeks following that unforgettable assembly, news of Michael Jordan's act of gratitude spread like wildfire. Headlines around the country read, "Michael Jordan honors high school janitor with life-changing gift." Social media lit up. Students posted photos. Teachers shared memories. Former alumni sent in letters thanking Mr. Brooks for everything he'd done that they never properly acknowledged. But none of it changed Mr. Brooks. He still woke up early every morning, not to go clean floors, but to sit quietly on his new porch, sipping coffee and watching the sun rise over his peaceful neighborhood. For the first time in decades, he wasn't in a rush. He wasn't exhausted. He wasn't forgotten. He was seen. He was honored. And most importantly, he was loved. The school kept its promise. Each year, a new senior is now awarded the Harlan Brooks Legacy Award, recognizing kindness, humility, and service without recognition. The trophy stands proudly in the school's front office, a gleaming reminder that greatness isn't just measured in points or records, but in quiet acts of goodness that ripple through time. Michael Jordan never spoke publicly about what he did. He didn't need to. For him, it wasn't about publicity. It was about something far deeper, repaying a debt of gratitude that couldn't be measured in dollars or trophies. When asked privately why he did it, Jordan simply said, "Mr. Brooks saw value in me before I saw it in myself. The least I could do was return the favor." To this day, students at Laney High whisper stories about the old janitor who once helped the greatest basketball player of all time chase his dream. But those whispers have turned into inspiration. Clubs now dedicate service projects in his name. Young athletes volunteer after school, picking up trash or helping clean up, not because they have to, but because they want to carry forward Mr. Brooks' spirit. And as for Mr. Brooks, he still visits the school once in a while, especially during basketball games. He sits in the same bleachers he used to clean. Only now, students and teachers stop to shake his hand. Younger kids ask for photos. Some even call him Coach Brooks. He just smiles. Because the truth is, he never needed a spotlight. But when it finally found him, it illuminated something we often forget. Sometimes, the people who do the least visible work end up making the most lasting impact. And in a world chasing fame and fortune, this story reminds us that true greatness can begin with a mop, a kind heart, and the courage to show up for someone else, even when no one is watching.